Hi, I'm Dr. Michael Reiner, your host of the Independent Doctors of Pahrump, a TV show that airs Monday night on Channel 46. I want to remind you that I am a practicing physician in Pahrump, and I'm an independent practitioner, which means I am not bought by any insurance company or corporate medicine. We provide the highest level of care. We have nurse practitioners. We have other physicians, specialists who come to our office. Please come visit me. I'm at 1316 East Calvada here in the heart of Pahrump. Thank you. Okay, we're back from the break, and thank you for, I get a lot of comments, and I'm sure you do too, about people that watch the show, and we appreciate that, and I know we have a lot of viewers that don't call in and enjoy it, and especially if you have Monday Night Football, so I'm really appreciative to those people that are watching us rather than watching the football team. So Ray is back on the phone. Ray.
Yes, I promised, and now I can see 2 doctors, no waiting.
Yeah, there you go.
That saying came, I picked it up in Chicago because the barber shops would put a sign in the window and they'd say, two barbers, no waiting, and 2 chairs, no waiting, and you walk in and you sit in the second chair, and the barber would say, well, I'll be with you in 20 minutes. They got you in, that you're going to have a second barber, but they only have 1 barber. But now I got 2 right on TV in front of me, so it's good to see you.
Hello,
Welcome
Ray.
back, Craig. Nice to see you.
Good to hear from you, Ray.
All right, first of all, Chuck Augustine said about oxytocin. You guys seem to say it was just for women lactating and stuff like that. But the show I saw that Chuck provided for me, it was like a love potion that men would be affected by it, that men would stick with one woman because they have this oxytocin, and they would not be distracted by other women if they were really in love. And I think that should be pointed out because it was so one-sided when you guys were talking about it. I said, I don't think that's what Chuck is talking about. But you can discuss it a little bit more. And even though Mr. Augustine says he doesn't want to hear any more about Hillary, I want to know what's going on there. I mean, this woman is falling down and everything else, and I see it on the news, and everybody seems to be a cover-up. So if you could just give me a little more of your opinion, Docs, Bodias, on what's going on there, I'd appreciate it. And it's a real good show tonight, and I'm glad both of you are back. Keep the faith, and I'll listen after I hang up.
Thanks,
Thank you very
Ray.
much.
The one thing I can say, and Mike, Dr. Reiner can probably address this better than me, is there's something much more going on with her other than a minor case of pneumonia.
Well,
from what I can see.
And like I said, this grueling, we got sidetracked on how grueling talking about Trump and how he's conditioned to do that, and Hillary.
She's been in politics for 30 years, though.
Yeah,
so.
she has a failing health, and one of the things I see in medicine is it's like a snowball effect. Okay.
Yeah.
You get one thing that happens to somebody, and then something else happens, and on top of that, and something else, and so it's not normal for people to have a stroke or a contusion or things of that nature, and a pulmonary embolism and things of that nature. And nobody knows the genetic makeup, but there are certain people that are very healthy, that have been given a gift of good genetic makeup, and they don't suffer from a lot of illnesses. Now, we all know that we'll never get the truth about what's really wrong. All we can do is get bits and pieces of her health. But if what you see, you can't hide everything. And if what you see is somebody choking and having a chronic cough, it's because she's talking all the time, and she's not conditioned to do that, and it's very irritating. When I get a cold, any type of flu, okay, it's very difficult for me to control the coughing because I talk all day during the day. And that causes me to I can't rest it. I can't get it better. Then it's a very grueling thing for her to go traveling in the air and going to all these stops and doing all those things. So what you're seeing out there is the condition of your candidate. Okay? The person who is conditioned the best will go the distance. The one who is not conditioned will fail. And she is failing in her health with these colds, with this, pneumonia that she got. She's getting run down, and nobody wants to accept the fact that to be able to work in that environment, handle those decisions, and making that grueling day-to-day briefing and everything like that, I don't think she's physically capable of doing it. Okay, we'll see somebody different on the 26th of September for the debates, because she will back off on her ground game. But on the other hand, I don't know. I hear that when she shows up to an area, there's very few people. You don't get the broad scope of how many people really show up to her events and how many people show up to Trump's events. It's a mind-boggling number. Thousands and thousands of people show up to Trump events, but I think there's a much less number that show up to Hillary events. But she was caught on TV with a head jerk, which is probably some type of seizure. That was an uncontrollable movement in her head. She stumbled on numerous occasions and fallen. This pneumonia is just a sign of how grueling the campaign trail is and how unconditioned she is. She'll rest and get better, but there's a good chance that, if she's stressed in that, then she's probably not going to be doing all of the presidency job if she's elected. I think she's already going to solve that out, and Bill will be making decisions behind the scene, and everybody else that's, that they promised things to will be making those decisions. She'll just be a figurehead. It's going to be another 4 years of just unlimited corruption in D.C., but that's my opinion. That's not yours. And what else were we talking about at the break?
The control of the oxytocin.
The oxytocin thing, Ray, you're right. Everybody makes hormones. Males make estrogen. They make more testosterone. There is a genetic predisposition to that. A good example is FSH and LH, follicle-stimulating hormone and luteinizing hormone. In females, they stimulate ovarian follicle development and egg development. In males, they support testicular function and the production of testosterone. So we both make the same things. It's just that difference of that X and the Y chromosome make that hormone, whatever it is, do different things for us. So I think there's a lot of secrets of these internal hormones. Like, let's look at eccritin. Eccritin you never heard about 5 years ago, but eccritin is an awake hormone, okay? And so a new sleeping drug called Belsorma interferes with erectin. And erectin is one of the things that wakes you up, or the people that have difficulty in laying there at night and can't go to sleep. I mean, there's a lot of different architectures in sleep. There are people that go to sleep but then wake up and they can't go back to sleep. People have difficulty going to sleep, and they can't turn their light switch off. And sleep architecture gets messed up a lot of times. When people start taking sleeping pills, your body becomes dependent on that prescription for sleep, and you stop taking it, and then you can't go to sleep. So it's very important. There's just a lot of different things that they're now unraveling in there, and we'll hear more and more and more about that. But whenever there's a little bit of money involved, the pharmaceutical companies will come out with a new medication. Well, I like Belsorma as a sleep medication.
Do you?
Yeah, because it's not sleep addicting. Meaning, if you were to take weeks and weeks of Belsorma, you would revert back to where you were prior to taking it, as opposed to someone who's taken Ambien for a period of time and they stop. They could be up for 3 days.
Yeah.
And not to mention the fact that I do believe, and nobody can confirm this, but there is a loss of memory and short-term memory that occurs with prolonged use of like Ambien and these other drugs for people.
Ambien, is it a benzodiazepine?
No, it's like a Lunesta drug. It's kind of a sedative the one that came out on the market that was the first one of that, and I'm trying to, Halcyon.
Yeah.
Halcyon was, I mean, I remember in the day they'd sample that in the office, and I was working at a clinic doing sleeping for dollars, right? And they were doing printing of their super bills or their statements in the next office, and I had this little bed that I was supposed to sleep in, and they basically gave me, I went out and grabbed a 0.5 milligram of Halcyon to go to sleep, and I slept. I slept through the entire night. And when I got up the next morning, they told me that I saw a patient, so I slept walk through an entire visit. So when they tell you that, you can do those things on those medications, you can, and I experienced it, and it's a very dangerous sleep aid. So it can happen. Fortunately, it wasn't anything really serious, and nothing bad happened as a result of it, but I never touched the stuff after that, because that scares the living daylights out of you. When you're getting ready to leave.
Remember.
Oh, you're getting ready to leave, and the guy says, you got a chart you got to finish. I'm like, what chart? I didn't see anybody. Oh, yeah, you did. And I don't remember, anything about it. So that's really scary when that happens. So, and I just think that people that say that they get up in the middle of the night and they do things on Ambien and they don't remember what they do, it does happen. It's so people need to be aware of the dangers of sleep. You can sleepwalk without taking medication, okay, much less taking those medications that could cause that. And there are a lot of people use Ambien, and Medicare doesn't want to pay for it. If you're on a Medicare HMO, they don't want to pay for it. The government, Medicaid, doesn't want to take for sleeping pills, and they do that because of the risk of you getting up and falling and
breaking a bone,
breaking a hip,
Yeah.
And fractures of hips can be life-ending events for people. So it's very important that you are very, very keen to that. And the other thing is a lot of people are on blood pressure pills and they have to get up slowly. You should have a light by your bed because you use your visual acuity to help get your position around the world and where you are. So you have receptors in your joints that give you proprioception on where you're at, and then you have your visual stimuli that also can coordinate that information. So if you're in a dark place trying to get up and you don't have that good proprioception because your nerves, you will trip over your feet and you will fall, okay, because you don't have good position of where you are in the world around you.
I suspect that's what you see a lot with the diabetes and the
Absolutely.
neuropathy, the foot neuropathy.
Absolutely. And then you take on top of that, take a medication that they treat gabapentin, okay? They treat neuropathy with it, but it also causes increased sleeping, okay? So you're treating one problem and potentially creating another orthostatic problem where you get up and you're weak and you have to go to the bathroom and you can't feel it, but you fall down. You fall down. So, I know they have National Fall Week sometimes, when you do that. But make sure if you're elderly and you do have to get up in the middle of the night that you have a light and you get up very slowly. You let your feet dangle and you give yourself a minute and then you get up slowly and have some aid there to grab onto if you need to. I would like to think that advice would prevent one hip fracture in this community, which might prevent one person from ending their life prematurely. And also we talked about non-pain modalities. One of the things is keeping people mobile, and that's where Creig comes in and helping you get mobile without having to take a bunch of opioids. So, well, anyway, Pahrump, we're out of time.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in tonight, and we'll be back next week to talk to you about more interesting subjects.